Happy Friday, October the 6th, 2017. This is also a happy, intense, and matchup hybrid ordering day. This is the day where staffers are allowed to start putting in their orders. I've already got mine submitted, and hopefully I'll get the shipping notice sometime early next week, and we'll then in turn be able to have videos for you next weekend. I want to thank Mark Lewis for the donation to the channel. It'll go straight towards the cost and production of everything I do, like every donation will. I've had a few questions about, a few of you noticed that I've linked my PayPal account in the description of the videos below, and I wanted to clear the air a little bit. I'm not begging for money. The channel's gotten a lot bigger this year. A lot of people are asking for and suggesting a lot of things, all of which are good suggestions and things I want to do and things I'm eventually going to do. But the bottom line is it costs some money, and it's just going to take some time to get there. So I put the link there just in case anyone wanted to contribute to the cause to expedite or speed up the process, but I'm really just happy you like my videos. The best thing that you can do is watch my videos, like my videos, and share them with your friends. The biggest suggestion I've got is to feature another ball with a different layout and surface in my review videos, and that's a great suggestion. That's something that's going to happen, but it's double the cost per video, and it's not an option at this point. Just to kind of level with you, but please, if you don't have it, don't send it. I'm not sure I'd send anybody on YouTube money either, so I mean, if you keep watching my videos and buying Stormer Roto equipment, I'll still be here doing what I'm doing. Now, on the other hand, I have 1,560 subscribers, and if every one of them just sent me $1, I mean, that'd be like, I don't know, it'd be a lot of dollars, you know, that'd pay for a second ball for every review for like the next year or something. So, bottom line is, I'm just glad that you like watching a ginger throw bowling balls and ramble at a camera, so thanks as always. Recently, I've been watching a lot of bowling videos on YouTube and, you know, all kinds of things. Mostly PBA and PWBA shows, but a lot of different things. I'm not shy about admitting I prefer the PWBA to the PBA shows, mostly because it feels like I'm watching more of an accuracy competition. I mean, I like to watch pin fly as much as the next guy, but it's great to see what the two-handers can do with a ball, like I said in my last podcast, but at some point it falls a little flat when you see power bailing guys out of bad shots. I don't like seeing that. So, Randy Peterson says all the time that's why you put speed and revs on a bowling ball. And power generation is in and of itself a skill, because I mean, a guy like EJ Tackett, the size of EJ Tackett, who also throws 16-pound equipment so he doesn't overthrow the ball. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and it shows you that power is... it's about mechanics, it's not about strength. So watching what EJ can do, specifically given his size, is pretty impressive. And recently there's been some emerging power players on the PWBA, such as Daria and Verity Crawley. Now, of course, not forgetting earlier high-rev women such as Michelle Feldman, but Verity and Daria still look to me like more finesse players that generate the power they do from their mechanics like EJ does. Now, I mentioned Daria and Verity because their championship face-off this year in the PWBA Detroit Open kind of struck a nerve with me. It was in a good way. But I don't think anybody could watch that match and the trophy presentation of what Daria said and disagree with the point I'm about to make. Now, part of the reason I don't enjoy watching the PBA as much is because the names, you know, the egos, kind of like the names, are larger than life. You know, as a really competitive person, I understand just the raw fury when you make a mistake and it costs you, or when you're getting tapped over and over again and you're watching the guy beating you go in Brooklyn and carrying the world, and there's a level of anger that goes beyond reasoning. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, it's really based in passion and work and sacrifice and all those good things, and the drive and determination and a million other very positive emotions and motivations, but to put in that level of effort and see it crumble, or to virtually sabotage yourself because your emotions got the better of you, or because they couldn't wait until you were holding that trophy to kind of emerge and show themselves, that could ultimately ruin the vision you had of yourself holding that gigantic check. I know what it's like to throw around a heavy object and a bunch of weird-looking sticks and feel like you'd rather throw a ball through a window instead when one of them little suckers just sits there and kind of wiggles and manages to keep it balanced, or when that friction shows up that wasn't there the shot before and turns an otherwise good shot into a nose job. And it's really hard when you care so much about something and invest so much effort into it to have something go wrong. But I mean, just imagine having that happen to you on TV. I mean, I've never been on TV, of course. I've had an audience during a big game or a big match, and sometimes it's just kind of a subconscious thing to want to play up to the crowd a little bit or put on a little show. But, I've also had those circumstances when absolutely nobody was watching too, but you had something unfortunate happen and maybe make a little scene so that people will notice and maybe share your pain a little bit. But I get the idea. I understand it. Now, with the exception of the PBA League, the majority of the PBA shows are negative and dull. Now, before I go any further, you guys do it right up in Maine. I don't know if I have anybody watching this from Maine, but the PBA League up there, the atmosphere that you guys create, that's fun and exciting and passionate, and it's the best thing in competitive bowling right now. It really is. I always have to put myself in the shoes of someone who isn't a bowling fan. And if they happen to turn a show on, will they keep watching? Would what they see interest them enough to make them want to learn more about it or see, okay, well, why is that person in the back of the crowd there have a squirrel mask on or something, So I'd have to believe that a PBA League show would absolutely draw their interest for at least a few minutes. Now, back to the other side, which is your average PBA show. Now, I tried to make a concerted effort to keep my extra content or this kind of stuff positive, because I don't want to complain about negativity and bring everybody down, but sometimes you got to call them like you see them, and the PBA shows are kind of hard to watch more often than not. Yes, you've got to identify the problem to fix it, but you can't always focus on the problems. That's something I tend to do because the positives can blind you to the issues, and wrapping yourself up in them is the sure way to never improve. Now, as far as most PBA show goes, nobody's having fun, nobody's getting excited. It feels kind of quiet and dead and too serious. When they do get excited, it's almost like more of an angry type of excitement, like they're mad instead of happy. And there's a lot of big egos out there who take themselves too seriously, and it's nice to see something like the PBA League that can kind of let people out of their shell and allow them to loosen up and kind of enjoy it. Now, moving along, though, to what I want to talk about, Daria's speech after receiving the trophy and check is like the purest thing I've ever heard. It's sometimes, people are giving you a line just to, make themselves sound good, but at the same time, they're still trying to make sure that all the attention's still stuck on them, and they kind of say something good about somebody else just for good PR or whatever. But what Daria said about her and Verity is a purely competitive statement, and there's two types of people to me when it comes to sports. You have the competitors and you have the winners. The competitors are the people who are in it for just the fair and pure competition. Like, you sign up, you just go toe-to-toe with everybody else, and you see where you stand. Then you have the winners. They just want to win. They don't care how it happens. They just want to be holding the trophy at the end of the thing. Now, Jack Jurek is a competitor. When he lost to Tom Hess at the Masters in 2011 and had that just brutal open late in the game that ultimately cost him the title, despite being crushed, he still held it together, and he even gave Tom advice to kind of help him hold his composure and to finish the thing out. That's a competitor, and that's where I stand. I want someone at their absolute best when I compete against them, so that there's nothing left to say at the end of the game. There's no excuses to be made. It's just, I won fair and square, and that's just it. I don't necessarily like that kind of winning type attitude, the kind of cutthroat, do or die type attitude, but at the same time, at its core, winning is just simply having the better score at the end of the game. Winning doesn't take into account sportsmanship or good breaks or bad breaks. It's just whoever's score, it's just a result. It's like whoever's score is the highest at the end of the game wins, and all that other stuff on its surface value or technically or mathematically doesn't really matter. Now, for the record, though, Daria basically said she was happy to be holding the trophy, but Verity deserved it just as much, and the best thing about it was that she was being completely honest. Verity was also happy for Daria. She was disappointed that she didn't win, but at the same time, you knew that she was genuinely excited for her friend. I asked myself a question about a year ago in the middle of kind of a downtime for me personally, which was caused by a bit of bowling burnout. I was watching some open play next to us. We were bowling the city tournament, and we were like 4 or 5 frames into the game, and I was looking, naturally, whenever you bowl a tournament, you always want to go out there and act like you're the best there, whether you are or not. It gives you kind of that level of confidence, and you always want to shoot for that top number. But 4 or 5 frames into just the first game, we were bowling doubles and singles, and just the very first game, I was already pissed off. I got tapped a couple times, I got pissed off, and I kind of plopped back into my chair off after leaving like a 9-pin or something, and I'm watching these people that are bowling next to us, and they're shooting like 50s, and they're getting all excited and jumping around and going crazy, and I asked myself, I'm like, when was the last time I got that excited about bowling? Everything's so serious when you get to that certain level that if you get a strike, you have to act like you're not happy, or you have to act like you expected it to happen, or whenever if you don't strike, or you have to act like you stuck, or like somebody screamed or distracted you or something. So it's hard to live in that kind of culture and not get jaded or pissy, because it goes back to the ego thing. I mean, watching the end of that tournament between those two, Daria and Verity, it kind of renewed my own passion a little bit, because Daria she was excited to win. I mean, it was just pure joy, and it was kind of infectious, and not the kind of angry, upset celebrating that some of the guys do, almost like they're afraid to smile and enjoy it. But to just be truly happy, and then that's something that's missing in a lot of competitive bowling. It almost drove me away. I mean, I was at the point just a couple months ago when I was sick of the bowling alley. I was sick of all the effort that went into this channel, especially when I've been trying to do some bigger things that just haven't happened yet. That's been frustrating. But I was ready to just delete my channel and quit bowling, period, because it's been such a source of negativity in virtually every way that you can imagine. And I know a lot of you out there can identify with that. And then to turn on a PBA show like the one where Marshall Kent picked that brutal pattern because he wanted to be a pure shot-making contest. It was one of the hardest shows I've ever had to watch, because it was difficult to the point of being unfair, and you could tell that nobody was enjoying it at all. So to have it going rough personally, and then turn on such a downer of a show, I mean, it's just hard to stay positive in such a toxic environment. Now, it's all in your personal attitude. I mean, just because everybody else is frustrated and pissy doesn't mean you have to be too. I caught myself giggling more than a few times at some of the temper tantrums I saw at Swiss Trios in Wichita last weekend, or a couple weekends ago. When a few months ago I'd have been all solemn and like pissed for them too, because that's just that's what you're supposed to do, because fun isn't really allowed. The fact is, control what you can control. Sometimes bad things happen, but that's a possibility when you sign up. I mean, sometimes you make bad shots, and that's okay. You can't change it. The only thing that you can do is just kind of regroup and make a better effort next time. Someone gets a good break, make a smile and crack a joke or something, just because, I mean, it's eventually going to happen to you too. Everybody gets bad breaks. Everybody gets good breaks. I had a guy spare a 7-10 against me in the first frame of one of the games in Wichita, and I could have thought, oh my God, here we go. This is already happening to me. It's going to, here we go again. But I didn't do anything like that. I gave him a high five. We all had fun, because picking up a 7-10 is kind of a rare deal anyway. And he ended up shooting 260, so it's not like I had a chance in that game. But I could have gotten pissy for nothing, and I didn't. And as a result of my newfound attitude, I'm enjoying bowling again. Like I look forward to going to league. I look forward to being able to get in and make these videos, and I'm just having fun with bowling in all aspects of it. And matter of fact, I wrote this a week and a half ago, right after writing last Friday's podcast, 4 days early, and I couldn't wait for the week and a half to get here so that I could film this and post it. You can't change the world. You can only change yourself and hope other people take notice, and that it inspires them to change as well. I don't know of a single thing that was improved by negativity, even if it was simple criticism intended to provoke change. I mean, so I've got a challenge for everybody, a challenge for myself too, and it's kind of really where it came from. But find ways to look for the good in something, even if you absolutely hate it. It's just a challenge thing. So try to turn every negative you encounter into a positive. Gotta make it a game. Have fun. Laugh about stuff that should piss you off. I'm an incredibly negative person. My intention is always to find the negatives and eliminate them, but I spend so much time kind of waiting and wallowing around in negativity that it kind of brings me down, because I'm always being so serious about it. Now, I look really weird throwing the ball. I don't have pretty form by any means. I have the kind of form where people ask me if it hurts. And for a long time, I was embarrassed. I didn't go to tournaments because of it. I didn't want the good bowlers to look at me and say, look at this reject or look at this hack. Now, to be honest, I had an injury. I rushed my rehab. I paid zero attention to what I was doing, and now it looks really weird and uncomfortable, but I decided to make light of it, even though I think I'll always be a little self-conscious. But if you carry yourself with confidence and you put up results despite what looks like a challenge, people respect that, and it's okay to have fun with it. I'll never throw the ball like John Zerbinski or anybody, but there's still 10 pins down there that need knocked down, and instead of spending all my time and wasting a bunch of energy trying to be something I'm not, I've decided to kind of do what I do, just embrace the chicken, and kind of a catchphrase I've gone with is wing to win. I still look ridiculous throwing the ball, but it looks pretty on YouTube. So there's always that. But always try to improve yourself, but don't be so negative about the negatives. Be positive about what the negatives can be once you've changed them, once you've turned things around. And ultimately, you just have fun. Enjoy bowling the way you want to enjoy it. That's the point. We need to be focusing more on helping people enjoy the game, because if they do, they're going to get more. They're going to keep bowling. They're going to get more people to bowl, and especially if competitive bowling was more fun and inviting, there would be more people doing it. Maybe people would be making time for bowling instead of hoping that something would come up and give them an excuse to kind of cut the cord. Now, going back to the PWBA, let's and specifically with this topic that we're talking about, let's talk about Shannon Pluhowsky. If anybody has a reason to be upset or disappointed at all, it's her. You're not going to find many better examples of composure and determination. You could say, yeah, she's on TV all the time. What could she have to be upset about? But she's won virtually everything that there is to win out there except a title on the new PWBA tour. The original one folded right before women like her and Kelly Kulick had the opportunity. And I can only imagine what a long and difficult time. I don't know how many. It was like 14 years or something between the original tour folding and the new one coming back out. So how many times now has she been the top seed and just a game away from that title, only to just a few breaks away and to not have it happen, or to have her ball reaction be awful, or to just get bad breaks, or just have a bad experience. I don't think anyone in professional bowling is really a fan of the stepladder finals. You have all that qualifying, you have all the match play, you have everything else, and then you get on TV and one single game determines everything. The point of having the format of so many games is the same as in golf, or the same as NASCAR race, having a bunch of laps. It's about the aggregate score of the entire tournament rather than just a single hole or a game or a lap or something, because anything can happen, and sometimes that one single data point is just an aberration that doesn't reflect the entire body of work. At the end of a golf tournament, they don't take the top 5 finishers and then have a step ladder of one whole competition to determine the winner. They don't. At the end of 500 laps in NASCAR, they don't take the top 5 finishers and have like a fastest lap step ladder or something. The winner is the winner based on the entire tournament. Now, at the same time, this is just the way it is, and it's either fair or it's unfair for everybody concerned. Some people are going to benefit from it, some people won't, like Liz Johnson the last couple of years in the U.S. Open. She's won it back-to-back years from the 5 spot, and if we'd have been done after qualifying, we wouldn't have been able to see those just legendary performances that she put up to win those titles. So, in a way, your tournament finish plays a huge factor in your road to a title, but it's long been proven that tournament leaders usually don't come away with it. Normally, it's the people who have been bowling for a game or two that have the momentum and are comfortable with the lanes, and who end up just going on to win it. So back to Shannon, though, she's one of the best examples of composure and professionalism on the lanes that you can have. I have no idea what she does afterwards off camera. Does she cry? Does she scream? Does she throw things? What does she do to let all that out? I don't think anybody could blame her for how she deals with it off camera and out of the public eye, but how you handle things in the moment, I think, speaks better to true character. How because that's when the emotions are going to be the strongest. That's when it matters most, is what you do in that very instant. Before you've had time to think about it, before you've had time to decide what you're going to do about it, it's just, your pure reaction. And it's tough to see when you can see the tears welling up in her eyes that she's holding back. And it's tough to see when you know how frustrated she is to still see her congratulate the other person that's going to be holding that trophy that she wanted and that she was a single game away from. We all know that she's going to break through eventually and get several of them, but she's already waited so long to, just to have a tour back to have a chance. And now we're 3 seasons into the new PWBA, and yeah, you can say, well, she's had 3 good solid seasons. But at this point in her career, good seasons aren't enough. You don't put in that much time and that much effort and make the kind of sacrifices I know that they make to settle for making a few TV shows a year and having solid years. She's ready to win, she's been ready, and she's had some of the worst luck that you can have. I really hope next season happens for her, but next season's still a long ways away. And it's easy to say there's always next year, but nothing's ever guaranteed in life. I mean, how many titles would Karl Malone have had if it wasn't for Michael Jordan? I mean, there's an absolute crapload of girls like Verity and Daria graduating from college and moving on to the PWBA every single year. And yeah, Shannon's still one of the elite, but the competition gets stiffer and stiffer every year. And when you consider exactly what it takes to win a tournament in the first place, it's just going to get tougher. I mean, obviously not saying that it's been easier so far, but maybe when she wins now, it might be that much sweeter. But, hopefully she'll be holding a trophy or, several of them a lot sooner rather than later. So this is going to wrap up my podcast for this week. Hopefully I'll have some bowl reviews to accompany the one next week, or at least, if nothing else, within a couple days following it. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next Friday.